This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites, like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies, like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Hello and welcome to the All Monitor Brief. It's April 18th. I'm Kristen Tallman. Today's main segment is a conversation with All Monitor's associate editor Beatrice Farhat, who lives in Lebanon. Reporting on the ground in Beirut and elsewhere, Beatrice will talk to the mood in the country after last week's killing of a Lebanese senior official in one of the country's largest Christian political parties. But first, let's get you caught up on the headlines. Tech giant Google fired 28 of its employees on Wednesday after they staged a sit-in protest over an Israel cloud contract. The news comes after the company suspended 9 employees before they were arrested in California and New York on Tuesday. United Nations Special Envoy for Libya, a Senegalese diplomat, tendered his resignation after only 18 months at the helm of the UN support mission. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Wednesday he would host the leader of the Palestinian militant group Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Turkey this weekend. Qatar's prime minister said on Wednesday that his country is reevaluating its mediation role between Israel and Hamas. And in North Africa, the first KFC restaurant to open in Algeria reportedly closed on Wednesday following protests related to the ongoing war in Gaza, but reopened later in the day, local outlets reported. Now, on to the main story.
Hey, Beatrice, welcome to the Al Monitor Brief.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Beatrice, tensions in the country have been very high. And for our listeners, you're in Beirut, so you're in Lebanon. And tensions last week were quite high after the killing of a senior official in one of the country's largest Christian political parties, Pascal Sleiman, a coordinator from the Lebanese forces. This changed the atmosphere a little bit because most of the tension has been focused on the southern border with Israel. But then there's with the killing of Sleiman. Can you walk us through just what the mood is in Lebanon?
So, yeah, just as you said, I mean, the general mood in the country is already tense. There's anxiousness. People have been living in constant fear of a war breaking out anytime since Hezbollah and the Israeli army started exchanging fire on the border in October. And we've been hearing threats from both sides. And to add insult to injury, the killing of Pascal Sleiman, the official of the Lebanese forces, one of the largest Christian parties in Lebanon, was killed last week in what the Lebanese forces say was a political assassination. So this also added to the tensions. There have been also sectarian tensions because they blamed Syrians. And there are already deep-rooted tensions between the Lebanese population, most of the Lebanese population, not all of it, and the Syrian displaced or refugees that are living in the country. So all this has added to the tensions in the country. So, yeah.
So now it feels like it's on all sides, like Israel, Lebanon, and then within with the Syrian population in Lebanon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, it seems like it can't get even more tense, but with Iran's missile and drone attack last weekend on Israel, I mean, did that escalate things? I mean, what does it feel like being in Lebanon if Israel and Iran get into more direct conflict?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for Lebanon? What do people in Beirut think about when other regional? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there are fears that Israel might retaliate against Hezbollah, which is Iran's main proxy in the region. So that Israel might expand its strikes inside Lebanon, drag the country into an all-out war. So there is this constant concern. We hear Israeli flights, Israeli planes hovering over all of Lebanon, almost on a daily basis, even in the more in the regions that are further up north from the southern border. So even I hear them sometimes, and I live north of Beirut. So there's always this constant fear and anxiousness. And people are tired of all of this. And you can feel that. But unfortunately, though, in Lebanon, the country is deeply divided and sectarian. So with what's been happening in the south and people getting killed in the south due to the Israeli strikes, people in other areas of Lebanon, mainly in the Christian majority areas, in the Metan and Kisirwan and Jbeil districts, they've been living their life normally every day. The youth are going out, they're having parties. And this has created some friction also between the Christians and the Shiite population in Lebanon. The Shiites, the population of the south, accuse the Christians of ignoring their plight. Sometimes they are even accused of treason and of working with Israel, which is a very common accusation against Christians, mainly from the Lebanese forces. So here we go back to the incident that happened last week. The Lebanese forces and Hezbollah, their relation is already tense. The Lebanese forces and its leader, Samir Jaja, accuse Hezbollah of taking war and peace decisions in the country in their own hands without referring to the state. So that also adds up to the tensions in the country. Because of the civil war in the 70s, the 30-year civil war, the Syrian occupation of Lebanon, so the population is really divided in their allegiances.
Yeah. Okay, Beatrice, thank you so much for giving us a look into the mood in Lebanon. We really appreciate it. And for our listeners, Beatrice is an editor at All Monitor, and you can read all her pieces at allmonitor.com.
Thank you. It was great having this conversation with you.
That's it for today, April 18th. You can read about all these stories and more impacting the region at allmonitor.com.